Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Survivor New York Season 4 Recap Podcast. I'm Naomi Calhoun. This is Live Reality Games, the network. And today I am so excited. Turn your cell phones off, please, class, because today it is the Episode 3 Survivor New York Recap and interview. So first of all, I'm joined by our founder, the host. Some call him Jeffrey Probstfeld. I call him Chris Lord. Chris, how are you?
I'm doing good. And that literally haunts me. And I actually thought maybe I should put that on the T-shirt that I wear for season 5.
No.
Jeffrey Probstfeld.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that. But yeah, I'm super excited. George is a great friend, and he was such a great help that weekend. So I'm so glad to talk with him. And our amazing and beautiful castaway, Marilyn, is with us. I love her hair tonight. I told her that already, and it's longer than before. And she's
Wow.
wearing her T-shirt from
Aww.
the game, so super cool.
Iconic. Well,
Yeah.
First of all, George, how are you? Host of Survivor Brooklyn South. We're so excited to see you back here, but more importantly, the Lenape tribe handler. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. It's been a little while since this wonderful game, and I got to experience what went on with the Lenape tribe, the Blues. And here we are. I got some behind the scenes scoop. Let's hope I remember some stuff.
Let's hope I remember anything that went on this weekend, huh?
All right.
You know, and as you said before, we have Marilyn, the most recently eliminated player. But Marilyn, we're so excited you're here. I can't wait to catch up. How are you? How are you doing?
I've been really good. I didn't know what to wear today, so I'm just supporting my tribe.
Loyal to Blue till the end, despite everything they did to you. I love to see it. And I know that they were very sad that this moment had to happen in the first place. Did you enjoy watching the episodes back?
Yeah, it was better than I thought it would be because I was scared at first, honestly.
I think you did great. And I think that we'll get into it, like why you went home. I don't think is necessarily just, it was the easy boot. I think there were a lot of mechanics going on in the background that kind of led to your downfall. Kai, if you're watching. But we're going to get to all that in a little bit. But first of all, Chris, let's talk about why we wanted Marilyn on our cast. Because Marilyn came to us, you were originally an alternate, and then a spot opened up, and we're like, we know exactly who we're putting in here. Chris, let's talk about Marilyn.
Yeah, I mean, I think with Marilyn, she is like kind of like the shy, no offense, but nerdy type. And we wanted somebody to like fit that role. And I forget who was originally in the cast, but when we needed an alternate, Marilyn was obviously the first person. And I think she resonates with a lot of people. They come into like a big social setting like this, and they're shy and intimidated, but they're able to go out there and like prove themselves in the challenges. And I think Marilyn did that very well. In everything that she did in every challenge, she did very well in the position. And she said it in one of her very early confessionals. The things that she says she's good at. And she's open about the things she's not good at. And I think she's a very relatable person. And I had that feeling about her as soon as we saw her. And I knew she'd be a great person for the cast. And I don't regret it at all.
Yeah. So Marilyn, when you applied, were you thinking it was going to be like just as crazy as it turned out to be? What did we like meet your expectations, or what did you think going into something like this?
I realized I didn't fundamentally understand because I never watched a live reality the game before, so like I knew it was like just a weekend as opposed to like normal Survivor that's 39 days, but I didn't understand the differences until I was there. So yeah, that was a major thing that led to my downfall also, but it was fun overall, and the challenges are my favorite part.
Yes, and you were one of the puzzle masters, I would say, and I love that about you. Is you were like, I don't want to run, I don't want to throw, I just want to do the puzzle, and it's very relatable. I feel like as a player, is like, don't make me run 1 ounce or 1 step. George, what was it like being with this Blue tribe? Really, you kind of had the enemies of the group, right? Everybody hates the Blue tribe for some reason, but how did you feel about them?
They came out confident. I was rooting for them until the end, and they knew what they were doing. They had people that had a good grasp on the game. Marilyn coming into it. The interesting thing about Marilyn is the juxtaposition between the hair, which is amazing and out and beautiful and big, and there's underneath the hair, there's a shy demeanor. So there's a juxtaposition there that people have to wrap their mind around. Because when I first saw you, I was like, this girl's gonna take it far. I think that the confidence is there, the hair is there, and you were great. You were you tried your best with the hand that you were dealt. But I thought you were a lot of fun to watch, and being there live, I was rooting for you. I wanted you to, while all that stuff was going on with Kai, and the duplicitous thing, and she's trying to throw Matt under the bus, and but letting like that was that was interesting to watch, and I was like, oh my God, I hope she can pull through this. And I'm not supposed to have favorites as a tribe handler, but here we are.
And hi, Kristen. Kristen says Marilyn's hair is stunning, and as George said, we don't disagree. But I think, Marilyn, an interesting thing is that this tribe was somehow this was very kumbaya and the most buddy-buddy, but you guys really, it sounded like we're planning to stick together come a swap situation. Who did you connect with on your tribe? Who were you like most excited with working with? Is it the girls? Is it the three of them?
Yeah, what's it called? And I remember that when all the tribes were being picked, it was like Blue was last, like so it was 6 of us last. And it was mentioned in another podcast how Bennett and Sarah were on the same band. So I was happy both of them were there. And in day 0, like the only people who really like kind of spoke to me was Kai and Andrea. So I was happy that those 3 were on my tribe. So I felt like I was dealt a good hand in the beginning, yeah.
Yeah, and that's great because I don't really watch the day 0 stuff because I don't want to like influence how we make the tribes. It's, this is your opportunity to get to know people, and whether or not you end up on a tribe with them is kind of up to the gods of Survivor New York. So I don't like to watch what happens, but it is really interesting when people say, oh, I did connect with this person and we got along really well. And magically you end up on a tribe, or you don't end up on a tribe. Some people we separate them because we know they'll click way too well, and we have to get them on separate tribes, or it's going to be disastrous. But Marilyn, when it came to like the puzzles, did you expect to be as sort of like reliable on the puzzles as you were? I thought you and Andrea were a great team of like hardworking puzzle masters, and you really helped your team at every possible opportunity. Did you expect to be as good at the puzzles as you were?
No, I was pleasantly surprised, and like after I was voted out, some of the challenges afterwards, I was like, oh, I wish I could do these these puzzles.
No.
In particular that I remember that I really wanted to do, but it was a lot of fun, and even this challenge. Sorry, I can't speak. This episode challenge, like I was part of the skis, and everybody in my tribe were like, oh, you did a good job, like because we caught up from behind. So Andrea and I were like in sync of one left right. So yeah.
And George, do you remember anything from the early days of Blue, the chaos of the athletic tribe? How did you end up with the athletic tribe of all tribes?
I don't know. What are you trying to say?
Hi, Kyle. Yeah, Kyle, you guys killed it on the skis. That's great. You guys really, the skis are hard, and you guys just booked it, and that was really impressive.
I got the athletic tribe. My tribe was changed at the last minute. I remember I was supposed to, I forgot which one I originally had, but I was happy because we had just come off a season 2 of my game, and Kai had just won, so it was a trip to sort of be the tribe handler for the person who won my last game. So it was interesting to see if she would do the same thing or, learn from certain things that she maybe wanted to do differently. So that was fun to observe her in day zero while everybody was gathered around watching Todd's video. So, Kai was the person I was watching because I knew that she was, a force to be reckoned with. And I was looking for when people were going to sort of start to catch on to Kylene, but it seemed like they were starting to catch on to Emily because she came in guns blazing after the marathon of the game one. But anyway, so yeah, that answers it. That was my memory of day zero is what's Kai going to do and how far is she going to make it?
Yeah. And I don't know about you, Chris, but I feel like we knew that Kai was the biggest threat coming in with this like recent win not out of nowhere, but like a real social game compared to like a Jordan Kalish, like just domineering game. And I would think we were really kind of like, what is she going to do? This is a new chance for her.
Yeah, I think that was one of the more exciting points. We knew that she could dominate a one-day game. I mean, we saw it there. She wasn't like the huge contender right from the beginning in Brooklyn South, but near the end, like people say, it's a marathon, it's not a race, and she took home the gold. And we thought, how is it going to work in a 2-day setting for her? How is she going to be able to create these relationships and spend the time in the game, strategizing more and bonding more and building upon these relationships and taking it to the end. And I think in this stage so far, she's doing really well because every single person on that tribe would list her probably as number 1 or number 2, and nobody else would get that same feed.
Well, that brings me to a question, Marilyn, which is I think Kai kind of someone mentions that Kai says that she won before. Do you remember her telling you this? Do you remember hearing about how other people had done in games and thinking like, did you think they were threats? Did you think I got to vote them out, or what was going through your head?
Honestly, I forgot I knew about them, but I forgot the other 2 who were veterans.
And Matt even lied about it. Matt was one of the liars.
Yeah, and she didn't tell me directly, but like I knew like I had to look out for her. It was just that she was one of the few people who actually spoke to me, and I was like, I know I have to get her out eventually, but in Survivor you need someone to trust, and I didn't have anybody, so yeah.
Perfect opportunity. Yeah, and I think that Kai is a force to be reckoned with. And George, on the other hand, you had people like Kyle and Matt, who I think were veterans in their own right, but not necessarily like winners or like experienced in the like really, really intense 2-day LRGs. And I would say these are the goofballs of your group. What was it like being with them?
I loved the 2 guys that you named. They were a lot of fun to be around. Kyle is one of the most confident presenting people I've ever met in my life, and it's justified. He's a nice guy. He was keeping it light, and he's a smart guy. I'd love to have him on a season of my game as well. He brings a lot to the games that he plays. Matt was really. I didn't know what to make of Matt at first. He seemed to stand out from his tribe and not in the best possible way from the beginning. And then to find out that he was on I Love New York as a contestant, which was, I didn't know at the time, like well after, I was like, what? And I watched that show religiously and I was around him the whole time. But he was just a chill guy. He was, having a good time. He was a lot of fun. But, it seemed like he was enjoying himself. But yeah, it was fun to be around the goofballs. They may be the athletic tribe, but I definitely resonate more with the goofballs, unfortunately.
Well, so Marilyn, you guys had won 2 immunity challenges in a row, plus the reward challenge. Did you notice that people were like not happy with you guys? It's so funny because I think from my perspective, I remember that like somebody on Pink is like, we don't like the blue tribe. And I was like, where is this coming from? I don't know how I missed it. But people like didn't like you guys. They just wanted,
I didn't notice. I was surprised watching it, but I was like the one with the digging challenge.
Yeah.
I was like, if they knew like exactly what happened, they would probably like dislike me too because of like it wasn't shown on the episode, but I did help Kylie a little bit with the locks.
Oh my God. That is something I did want to bring up in this podcast, so I'm glad you brought it up. In the editing for that, I don't know, maybe I did talk about it in a previous podcast. I think I did. Kai had a really hard time with the locks. Marilyn sat out in this challenge. I think Kai was at the locks for about 4 to 5 minutes. Marilyn did sit out, and she was on the side and sort of talking to Kai, which I didn't see. I don't think anyone in production saw it. And Marilyn coached Kai on how to open the locks. So,
you know what? I mean, all's fair in love and Survivor, right? You know what?
Yeah.
What can we do?
I remember just walking up and then I watched her do it and I was like, you're doing it backwards. And then the rest of the tribe was like, yeah, wait, she's right. And then after she did it the other way and then she got it right away. So, and even afterwards, she was like, I forgot her exact words, but she was giving me credit for a challenge. I was like, I wasn't supposed to do this.
But I mean, what a challenge to sit out on, huh? Like, that's really. I never had a locker, says Kai. Which is so funny. Why would you be the lock person then, Kai?
I wanted to do the locks too.
Oh my God. All right. So I guess it counts.
I want to challenge everybody to go back and watch the episode. It could be a drinking game. Anytime someone says kumbaya.
I agree.
It's said about 75 times. You'll be trashed at the end of the episode. Watch. I'm telling you.
Oh man. I mean and I think the funny thing is like this is what Survivor New York sometimes comes to is like if you don't lose, you have to spend a lot of time being really buddy with a lot of strangers and hoping that they like you enough to keep you around when you do eventually lose. And I think this is kind of why, I mean, Chris, tell me if I'm wrong here, that this is why we do tribes of 6 in this season rather than tribes of 10 and 10 because, or 9 and 9, because when you're on a tribe of 6, it forces you to be way more strategic and way more distinct with your vote than if you were just on a big tribe of like 9 people and you could vote off whoever, it doesn't matter. Right. I think it forces you to be much more competitive when you only have 6 people on a tribe voting. And by the way, Marilyn, I don't know if you saw this, but the founder of LRG, Dustin, picked you in our cast assessment as his winner pick, and I loved that. He also loved your spirit. He's like, I think she's smart. I think she'll go far.
Oh man, there's so many questions for Marilyn because Marilyn and I were talking before, and I told her like there's so many people that were rooting for you, and it's great. I love all the Marilyn support. But Kyle's question is hilarious.
I have to know about the Pop-Tart.
Oh,
Did you see the clue, Marilyn?
So like right before this podcast started, I was talking about how I lost weight recently. So I see the difference between me now and how I was back then. I think back then I was like, ooh, Pop-Tarts.
I would have done the same thing.
Like I was thinking about an idol and I was like, oh wait, maybe this table that we have to go through maybe has this. I was like feeling around under the table and stuff, and then I didn't feel anything. I saw the Pop-Tarts, I just opened and ate one. So yeah, Kyle,
that's really funny.
I completely missed it. I don't even know how the paper looks like or anything.
Yeah. And TJ, Billy said kumbaya, but you can't spell it, so who's losing now?
He said it phonetically. Oh,
yeah. So what are you teaching those children, TJ? So when you guys eventually do lose, I think so we have to talk about this challenge and what went wrong in this challenge, right? Because this was a go to the video replay moment, because what happened is Billy ran to get a beanbag when they were shooting at the targets, blue and orange both had one target left. Billy runs past to pick up one of the beanbags, and in his running, he knocks over the final target. And so everybody was like, the orange tribe was like, oh shit, we just won. Okay. But we were like, hang on. Chris, do you remember this? I feel like this is one of my favorite.
I remember he didn't touch it, but the force of how fast he was running and that wind gust, it just knocked it down. And I didn't see him touch it. So before the challenge started, I told everybody, if the targets fall on their own, that is an act of God and in your favor. So that was sort of the point in that. And we determined that his movement and the gust that he created was not an act of God. So we needed to redo the challenge.
Yeah, like if the wind had knocked it over, just like a breeze, that would have been fine. But in this moment, it was really like, hey, Billy knocked the target over unintentionally, but that's not fair to the blue tribe. And so we started back from the point, which was everybody got their beanbag back. There was 1 and 1 target up, Billy telepathically winning the jar. And then I think the true story of any player in this stage of the game would be an interesting kumbayography. All right, Jack.
Jack is right out of Central Casting. I love Jack. I love everything about Jack. Oh my God.
Paint with all the colors of the wind, Billy. Well, so this was a nail biter of a challenge, right? And Marilyn, I'm sure you can attest to this. Like, I did not know who was going to win. And I have to say, I was rooting for the Orange Tribe because I did not want to see them go back to Tribal Council. They had gone through the ringer. It is never fun to vote somebody out first. But I was also like, oh, I don't know, because I thought that you or Andrea would go home if Blue went. So I was torn. But Marilyn, do you remember how tense this moment was, especially with like the sort of false finish?
I was just like, just in general in life, I'm just like, wind is always my enemy.
It's a great tagline. If you were a real housewife, that would be like your tagline in the beginning. Wind is always my enemy.
It has to do with hair, like I'm assuming too, because with the wind, my hair just like flies straight up. So yeah.
This challenge was so, and you know, you can go to our Instagram. I posted the little video of our crew. The video is so funny. It's sped up like 200%. At first, it's just me and Jess checking out the video, and then Chris comes over, and then Louis comes over, and then George comes over. Like everybody like huddles up, and like we look like little ants, just like collecting.
That's hilarious.
Videotape. Yeah, and Kyle, I know you felt responsible. You guys did great. It was like, I think you guys like, didn't they just knock down the target like right after Orange hit the target or something like that?
It was so close. I don't even remember how many Kyle got versus Kai though, because if you remember, Kai and Kyle did the
throwing.
They did the grappling hooks the first episode, and Kai got all of them. So I'm curious how many. It was like always a competition between the two of them, you know?
Yeah.
And how great is that challenge like Oh my God. Those set pieces that you have, it's just these people really feel like they're on the show.
Yeah.
George made those grappling hooks, though. He did make those grappling hooks, so I'm very happy that you brought them.
I know. We're basically like sponsored by Survivor Brooklyn South, like with all the equipment we have.
We all share.
Yeah.
The host even filmed.
I got all the sandbags. Kai was great support. Yeah, what a group. And this challenge, first of all, I love this trend that we seem to have, which is like the tribe that loses the challenge always wins the next challenge first. And so you get to see like the elation that they have that they're not going back to tribal council. Like the orange tribe wins first, and then the pink tribe wins this episode. And they're just fucking psyched that they are not going to tribal council. But Marilyn, you guys sat out Bennett, and I know people talked about like, should we have sat out Bennett? Was that the mistake here? I don't think that necessarily was, unless Bennett's like a really good thrower. I didn't think that was the mistake. I thought you and Andrea pulled your weight quite handily, and it wasn't really an issue. What do you think about that?
My memory. I think it was about like, when do I sit out? Because I think because we thought that the skis wouldn't be that hard, so they were like, okay, we'll do this one, and if the next one's really hard, then I can sit out, type of thing. I think that's what it was. I don't remember why specifically Bennett was out this time, But yeah, I don't know.
And Inessa says all LRG players need to learn how to use grappling hooks before playing. I mean, you can, but you know, it's more fun if you don't. And Kyle says we got
I have a
cocky.
theory. I have a theory that I think that if Bennett and Matt swapped spots and Bennett was the runner, I think that could have pushed Blue a little bit more ahead. That's just my theory.
Yeah, I think this also comes down to another thing is Bennett. I think he talks about it a little bit. Is he's trying to make sure that he is not seen as like Mr. Speed Racer, super fast, super athletic compared to everybody else on the season because he doesn't want to stand out too much as a strategic or physical threat. And so he's sitting out for himself, but in a way that kind of hurts the team, and then the team loses. So who knows? If that had gone wrong for Bennett, that would have been very funny.
He was attempting to play a long game. I think that's what was happening there.
Marilyn, is there anything else we haven't talked about from like the first 2 episodes that you remember or want to talk about, or anything sort of like a memory that you have of the experience?
I think just in general, I was in my own head the entire time. So, like even day 0, I don't know if there's a sound from my headphones or okay, whatever. Even from day 0, when I realized that like I wasn't really connecting with people as much as I wanted to, like I thought, oh, like I guess coming in, I thought, oh, I can adapt and work around it, but my head didn't let me. And then I guess like I had like opportunities. Like I remember one time, like Kyle and I were alone for I don't know. I think everyone else was doing a confessional, and then I was like thinking, oh, this is a chance to talk strategy, and then my brain just stopped, and I didn't say anything, and he didn't say anything that I remember. So.
Well, I remember you had also told me you're like, I've never been camping before. Like I was like, I don't think it'll be that much camping, but like, yeah, sorry, we're really throwing you out there, huh? Like in the middle of nowhere. That was brutal. And I think Dresden, hello Dresden, so much texture blocking up our lovely guest faces. I think in this episode we see how substantial the parts Kai and Kyle play on their tribes were. Even though they were the throwers during the comp, it was Marilyn and Andrea's names being said the most, with the tribe being aware of how well the two did during the immunity challenge. And I think that's a really good point. And I'm really interested in the idea that Andrea almost goes home here, because what we see happen is basically Kai goes to Matt and goes, Marilyn's been throwing your name out there. If Kai just has Andrea's been throwing your name out there, Andrea goes home. And I'm really sort of perplexed at why this happened. But Marilyn, were you kind of surprised seeing this back, that it was really that close of almost an Andrea vote?
Yeah, like I said, I was in my own head, so I just assumed I was going home. And then, like, I was actually surprised that people that, like, they were talking about trying to distract me, and I was just more like, why are you being like, I don't know. Because, like, I remember Annette was coming up to me and telling me about Andrea, but Matt was right there.
Yeah.
Tell him, like I guess I didn't know what to do in a situation of he's right there, because like Bennett asked me, oh, what are my thoughts, and like the only other name I heard was him, so I couldn't. I'm Matt, so I'm like I couldn't say anything. Also, what I remember after I was voted out, I think George was giving like advice about just like these short games, and he was saying the first person who talks to you during the strategizing is gonna most likely on your side, and Matt was the first person who spoke to me.
Wow, a really good piece of advice, George.
Yeah.
You played Survivor with me in a house once. You know what I got. You know what I got. But I will never play another one as long as I live. There's not enough therapy in the world.
That's interesting. I think that's so interesting. Like looking back, Marilyn, do you wish that maybe you had explored more of a relationship with like any of the guys? I feel like we see in the episodes and in your confessionals, like you explore the relationship with the girls, but like what, like, is there anything that you wish you had done with the guys? Like more conversations? You had mentioned like the Kyle thing. Like, what was your interactions with Bennett like during the first few rounds? I'm very curious about that storyline because we see so much about you focusing on the girls. Do you think that the guys had any like hesitation toward you, or you had any hesitation toward them?
The thing with Bennett was that he tells me about Andrea during the strategizing thing, and we've won for like 3 challenges, and he had all this time to tell me. So that's what I was saying earlier about not. I guess I didn't understand how live reality games were, because like if I understood, I probably would have listened to him and probably waited until Matt wasn't around him and then tell him what's actually going on. And but yeah, I wish I would have talked to Kyle more when I was alone with him. I don't know if that would have changed anything, but at least I know like I put in more effort. But yeah, I guess because Bennett hasn't spoken to me even like in day 0 after the ban. So that's why I was like, this was the first time he spoke to me and told me something. So I just thought that was the only time that I thought, oh, someone was actually trying to distract me and say Andrea, when he was actually genuine about it. But yeah.
Yeah, I also think that like something about these games in general is nobody wants to get too strategic until you go to tribal council, and it's a real art form to be able to do anything like strategic before you have to vote somebody out, because then you just seem like a villain in a lot of ways. So I don't think you should kick yourself too hard for like not taking these opportunities, because there very well could be like a timeline where you talk to Kyle about like, hey, let's vote somebody out, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, Marilyn's throwing out this person's name, and then you just look like a schemer. And of course, Inessa, you're going to disagree. All you do is throw people's names out. But I think that in a game where things are looking really happy and you're winning, you don't want to think about losing. And so sometimes the option is just to pretend.
Naomi, I think you're correct, but like in Inessa's season, there's 10 people on one tribe. So 10 people in a group setting, like, don't need to all be together. So I think there was more opportunity for them to like, oh, let's go look for an idol. Oh, let's go explore the camp, and not all be 10 together. But when there's only 6 of you, like all eyes are on each other at all times. Like you pair off, you go with somebody, that's an immediate target. So it's so much harder to be in a smaller tribe, and it affects the game so much more. And I think that's what made it a lot harder for this season, for people to venture out and connect with people one-on-one and strategize more. And that's why we see a lot of kumbaya, because it's very awkward to be like, hey, Marilyn, let's go to the bathroom or something, or let's go look at the water, and then the other 4 are together or something. It just becomes like an obvious move, and it's scary. But I think the best players, if they were smart about it, they could have worked a way around it.
Yeah. I did that. That's because like she was able to tell me Matt's name like way before we had to go to tribal or strategize at all. So that's why I was like, okay, this is the only name I have. That wasn't even with strategizing. So I was like, that's why I stuck with it, because I didn't hear anything else. And then just in general, I also saw her like go off with Bennett a lot. So I was like, I knew I had to keep an eye on her too, but I couldn't do anything if she was one of the few people I trusted. So
yeah. And Kristen makes a really great point here, which is like, I do think you have to have, at the very least, make super valuable one-on-one connections before you lose that first immunity challenge. And it's a really good point, is like, you want the person who's going to be in your corner. Because I've been in your spot, Marilyn. George knows, he put me through this, where your tribe goes to tribal council. It's the first time you're going, and you're like, okay, I've been making lots of friends. Oh, let me check the list. Who voted me out? TJ. And you get voted out first on that group, and you're like, I thought I just made a bunch of connections. What the fuck? And it just kind of happens, and it's a weird like spiral where sometimes people just go, I think actually we're all going to vote this person out, and everyone's like, okay, I guess we're going to, like the chaos of it all. And so it is really important to make those connections, but sometimes it just like doesn't work the way you want it to, and you just go home and you're like, what the hell just happened to me? I thought I prepared for this. And Kai's very sweet. I'm sorry we voted you out, Marilyn. She's so cute. And blame Jacob Thurman for that. I blame you too, TJ. You followed the mob. George, what when you watch this tribe go to tribal council, and I think even watching back the videotape, right? Were you surprised at how close this was to being an Andrea vote out?
I wish I could say yes. I wasn't. By the time we got to tribal council, just based off of what I remember recording, I knew it was sealed. I knew Marilyn was going. So that was a really long bus ride to tribal council. I was like, I knew where we were going and who was going, and so no, I wasn't surprised. I wasn't happy either.
Oh
yeah. I do think there's a world where, because Marilyn, I thought you gave a lot of great pitches too. You took that opportunity, and Chris, maybe you want to talk about this. Not a lot of people take that opportunity before the vote at tribal council to say something, right, Chris?
I just want to say that I think George had mentioned to me that he was pretty sure Marilyn was going. So I kind of asked like the tribe handlers, like, what's going on? Like, can you give me some insight? What could be happening? So at tribal council, I give everybody a question, and I think Alex was the one that was like, I think you should just straight up ask Marilyn, like, why should she stay in the game? Because it was pretty much apparent in confessionals that all 5 of them were going to vote for her. So I figured my one and only question to Marilyn, maybe there's something she could say, and I also wanted to maybe like not tip her off in a way where it was like a production riggery, but it was like just like, hey, like maybe you're in trouble. This is your chance to like say something and like fight. And I feel like she did give a good fight. It's just it was a little too late, I guess.
Yeah, she said.
In some people's eyes.
She said, I'm good at what I'm good at, and I just need a chance to be able to show you guys what I'm good at. And I thought that was a really good pitch. It's unfortunately it was just a little too late at that point.
Yeah. But Marilyn, did you have fun? Did you like have a good time playing Survivor?
Yeah, and also being like back in the background too after I was voted out was a lot of fun.
Yeah, you can see you and some of the other people who get voted out later. You can see yourselves moving around in the background, which I love. Like, it's really fun to be able to be like, oh yeah, there's Marilyn, because I think it says something that we appreciate you sticking around, and it's because we really liked you, and just because somebody's voted out doesn't mean we want them to leave and just like not hang out with us. Just because you're out of the game doesn't mean you're out of our hearts. But it is kind of tricky. Okay, George. Okay, speak your truth.
Couple people.
I do want to say that 2 points. The first one is I do predict if Blue had won immunity, I think Marilyn would have gone very far. I mean, we know what happens. All of us knows what happens. I think certain scenarios would put Marilyn in the top like 4 or 5 of this game. Yeah. So that's what the immunity challenge kind of sucks. I feel like if they had won, Marilyn would have easily made the top 4 or 5.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other quick thing is I think now that you've done this experience, Marilyn, the next time, if there is a next time you play, I think you're only going to do better, and I think that you could win the whole thing because now you know what you can improve on and what like your insecurities are. And I think a lot of people have been in your shoes before, and I think that you could go on to just be like a really good player.
I see Marilyn making, let's say, this hypothetical swap, and
well, we spoiled it. It's coming.
No, I'm just saying. Oh, right, okay. So let's say Marilyn makes the swap. I have a feeling, if she winds up in a situation where they sense that she was on the bottom and she winds up on a blue, like a tribe with mostly blue people, that she winds up, being sniffed out as the person on the bottom and being able to be put into another majority, hopefully. That was what I would, if she would have made that. I'm rambling. Sorry.
Yeah, and I think it's a good point. Like, I think Marilyn, you would have lots of options if you wanted to, and it would have been a good spot for you, especially considering that people wanted to vote the blue guy. People wanted to vote the blue tribe out because there were 6 of you, but also they wanted to work with the people that weren't the big threats. So, like a Bennett or a Kyle. Potentially you had a lot of wiggle room, and I think it was really just a vote away, and that just goes to show like the luck of the draw, and it's not always just like, oh, I'm bad at the game and they vote me out,
Right.
Oh, Kristen has a prediction. My prediction for the future is that blue is targeted despite the numbers being even, just because of the image of anti-blue will be stuck in orange and pink's mind. If it doesn't happen at the swap, I think it will happen at the merge. All right, we're writing that down in the prediction book, and we'll get back to you if it's correct. But Chris, let's talk about the swap for just a second, right? What's going to happen in the swap? We saw it. We're going to 2 tribes, but let's talk about it a little bit more. You got to do some math because there's 15 people left.
So there's 15 people. Everyone's going to draw a wood chip, the famous tribe swap wood chip. And it's either going to have a blue colored wood chip in the bag that you're going to pull, or it's going to be a orange colored wood chip. And then there's one yellow wood chip. Whoever draws blue is going to go to the new blue tribe. Whoever draws orange is going to go to the new orange tribe. And the one yellow chip is going to be what?
We actually killed him.
Oh, I'm like so confused.
Sorry, continue.
I had no idea what you were talking about. Yellow
chip. Yellow decides where to go. Not quite.
No, you know what? That was what happened in your season on that side. The person who drew out the chip could make a move. Yellow chip is going to go to Exile Island. And when they go to Exile Island, they're going to have the opportunity to choose through an advantage menu. And there is going to be somebody from Survivor New York history that's going to be joining them at Exile. So I'm very excited about it because it's one of the funniest, most like iconic moments. Like I watched that over and over and over, and I laugh every single time.
And so many people don't know what happens because nobody was there and nobody saw what happened in Exile. So I can't wait for like our whole cast to see it. And that person, by the way, will be joining us with the Eliminated Player for episode 4 podcast. So I'm very much looking forward to that next week at Wednesday at 9 p.m. But something I wanted to ask Marilyn, if you had made it to a swap situation, who would you have wanted to work with? Was there anyone on the other tribes that you wanted to talk to and maybe get to know more?
Dresden. Definitely Dresden.
We all want to know Dresden.
Yeah.
I know I was a little like 50-50 on Sarah because like I remember day 0, she was always like really observant with people. Like I always see her just sitting there and watching people, but I also wanted to work with her too. And I sat out. That was another time. Like I sat out with her and I didn't talk to her.
Lesson learned.
That's interesting. That's very interesting because we wouldn't have stopped you if you guys did talk. So it would have been interesting.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Jack too.
Jack says, I heard the attitude during the swap draw was pretty chipper. And I will be giving Jack the purple edit going forward. So thank you so much for those, Jack.
I have a question for George and Marilyn. Like, what was there anything like surprising? Because you guys didn't obviously see, the orange tribe or the pink tribe, like any of that footage until the episodes aired. So like, what was the most surprising thing that you saw, or exciting thing, I guess?
That Paddock is evil.
That's surprising?
It is. She's only been sweetness and light around me. Paddock is your villain this season. It's looking like so far, and
what could
she's good TV. She's good TV. I'll tell you that much.
So that was the most surprising for you?
For me, yeah. I was like, where is this coming from? The day of the game, I wound up going with whoever I forgot. I think maybe Naomi to pick her up at the train station. I was like, oh, what this sweet girl is going to get chewed alive.
That's right. I went to pick up Paddock with you because I had a phone number.
And, and then I didn't see any of that going into it. She knows the game that she's playing, and she's a lot of fun to watch.
What about you, Marilyn?
From what I remember, I think Blue thought we had the best camp, but Pink's camp was actually pretty nice. I haven't seen the other two camps at all, so I was just like, wow, they actually had a nice place.
Your camp was terrible. It was
Guys, I feel so bad because the camp is literally
on the
in
road.
the shape of a U. The camp is in the campsites are in the shape of a U. So orange gets like the top left of the U. Blue is in the middle part of the U, and then pink gets the top right. So it's like there really was nothing I could do like to make it easier for production than to do it that way. And I knew I was gonna have to shaft one tribe. Like I knew no matter
Yeah.
what. But like honestly, I go to that park all the time. That table and where blue is always taken. Always taken. So there is a
Oh.
reason. There's maybe because there's a barbecue there. I don't know. But
It's in the road.
pretty. You know what
Yeah.
I'm very surprised about is that okay, right behind the tables there is like water, but there's also ground that you can walk on. I never saw you guys like go in there. So I was curious if you guys ever did, but it wasn't like on camera because it's kind of like wet ground a little bit, but it looks like places that you could have hidden like an idol. So surprised you guys kind of just stayed in your little bubble.
We didn't have much sunlight. I remember it was in that little
It was very
area.
shaded.
We were shaded, so the video quality was a little darker, and I had the GoPro, so it was tough to get some natural light to get like a really brilliant sort of whatever. But it was fine. It was fine.
Davey says, Chris said, let's do Survivor New York Fiji edition. How dare you, Davey? We would have really made it hard if that was the case. And then TJ says they had beautiful beachfront property.
I mean, season 5, they're going to have some nice locations too. So they don't have to worry. I'm sorry, season 4.
Oh, it was fine. It was ideal. I mean, on that beach with that scenery, it was totally beautiful and, really a great place to have a game.
Yeah, this is true, Anessa. You guys had a very loose definition of camp, and then Kristen says, as a pale person, I probably would have loved the tribe with the shade, which is the blue tribe. Bennett's shoes. Bennett chose to wear Converse, which is an insane choice to play Survivor in Converse. So I just want to say I don't feel bad about Bennett's shoes.
White Converse.
White Converse.
And I think he was wearing jeans. Was he wearing?
Yeah, insane choices.
Chinos?
Absolutely insane choices.
I don't get it. I
love Bennett.
That's just who Bennett is, though, isn't he? He's so iconic. He's not on Facebook. I wish he would chime in every once in a while. But, and so I think that just as a preview for the swap, shit hits the fan in the swap. It's going to be crazy. Stuff's going to go wild. And I think that if you watch these episodes and you think you know what's going to happen, you have no idea what's going to happen. And like, I cannot wait for people to see the sort of monstrosity of what this cast creates for the next 4 episodes or so. Like, it's going to be awesome.
Can't wait.
Yeah, I don't think it ever stops. I think, like, not to be maybe rude a little bit, like the first 3 votes were all 5-1. Like, we kind of knew on the production side, like maybe who was going home, but from here on out, it was surprise, 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 and I'm very excited for everyone to see that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Marilyn, did you enjoy watching like the votes happen when you were sort of getting to observe from afar? Like, were they surprising to you as well?
My memory. Other things more than the votes, honestly. I think I just mostly remembered the challenges because I wanted to do them. But
that's fair, though.
I think we all just survived a pandemic in this chat, so we're the memory of what happened before COVID. Just it's gone. It's fleeting.
Yeah. It's very funny when people think that this season was filmed in COVID because you just watch the Pink Tribe all dunk their hand into their peanut butter together, and you're like, of course this was not filmed during COVID. Like, there's no way that's happening now. Yes, Kyle says white Converse, and then he decided to walk on mud. Well, and this brings up the next challenge, right, Chris? Or is it the challenge after, where we make them get wet, and Bennett is the only one maybe with the foresight to take his shoes off. So we're gonna see how shit hits the fan, but just you wait. So what else do we need to talk about, guys? We're it's late. I forced everybody to start 15 minutes late, and that was my bad. But what else do we need to talk about? Marilyn, George, anything on your mind this time around?
Well, I'm really worried about global warming.
Okay.
Well, that's
Just kidding.
Speak on that.
interesting.
Yeah. Oh, Kai says that the Converse were brand new.
Okay, we could talk about
Insane.
also Liska falling in the episode is hilarious because she like Emily Paddock is trying to get everyone to do fun little exercises as a group. And then Liska falls, and then she's like, "Oh, there goes my team building exercises." And then I just love it because, like, a few moments later, Liska's like, "This is definitely going to end up in the episode, and I'm going to be so embarrassed." I didn't put that part in there, but I thought it was so funny, and because she said that, I had to put it in the episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the TJ warned her not to walk on the rocks. We didn't get the actual fall,
Yeah.
but we got moments later, and that was hilarious.
Yes,
Sorry, that was
and
funny.
that and I think you must have put this in there in a cut I didn't see or something, Chris. Like Paddock talking about the pickle and how she wanted to take the last pickle is very Emily Paddock of like, I'm gonna take the food
Yes.
from this person.
This
far-
was sorry, go ahead, George.
So far, my favorite part of the season is Paddock with the rice. She goes, "Is it seasoned?" as like an excuse to open it and look in for the clue. She's so smart that she was just like, "Oh, is this rice seasoned?" It's like dry Uncle Ben's rice in a Tupperware. Which is,
And what are we gonna season it with?
Smart.
Like, are we just gonna dump a bunch of paprika in there and call it a day, or like put soy sauce in it? Like, what do you mean seasoned? You know,
is
like
it seasoned?
Yeah.
I was cackling in my chair because no one even batted an eyelash. They're like, "Oh no,
so
I think it's
true.
just."
And you know what? That came to me so like last minute, and I think there was a lot of doubt in it. But I had it in my mind that I was never gonna stop because I just loved the idea so much, and it worked out so good. So I'm very happy about that.
That brings up a good question. Like, Marilyn, did you expect that there was an idol in the rice? Did you expect to see sort of like the idol clue in the sand? Was all of this stuff like new information for you in viewing, or did we tell you after you had been eliminated?
I was told about the digging one for sure. The Pop-Tarts one, I think I found after I got home. I think Kyle mentioned it, and I was like, "Oh fuck."
That's hilarious. But Naomi, that cut actually was like a last minute throw together thing because I was like, you know what, I want to like, show the Pink Tribe coming back from Tribal Council, but I don't want to go right to immunity. So I was like, let me look for some things I could show, and that was like put together. And I wanted to sort of show a little bit more of Emily, and then Billy's confession about how things are going back to Kumbaya and just how like silly she can be, but then also Dresden's little, it was not really a confession, but it was just to show like how funny he was that like a bug landed on him and he was just like, "Ew, bug." And I thought that was the funniest little reaction. And it's so Dresden. And that shot of Dresden, my God, is like the most beautiful shot of like the sky and the beach, and it was so clear. It was my favorite.
Shout out to Jessica Frazier and whoever else filmed, and Naomi and whoever filmed.
A lot of the orange stuff is Kalish. Yeah. Like everybody capturing such beautiful, quirky little moments of the whole group. Like my favorite thing is the dueling names for the idol, where you guys call it Lenny Lenape, and then it goes over to Algonquin, and they're like, "This is Al," and like nobody knows that you guys are all naming the immunity idol, and it's got like it's like a child from a broken home. Like it's just like has no knowledge of what its real identity is.
We need to ask Muncie if they like named it too.
The increasing quality of the episodes, the editing, the sound, everything from season to season is just mind-blowing. It really feels like I'm watching a season of Survivor. Chris, you really, really outdid yourself. I want to say that because it's something to aspire to when it comes to filming and the planning of these things.
I mean, yes, I help, but like the story, the way that it flows, people were talking about the sound editing and like the music, it's Chris. And like we really just like I love getting to see these episodes. There's always something new right at the end, and like that's Chris has the eye for it. Also, Davey says they didn't name the item. We were just happy to have it and eat bananas and peanut butter.
Okay, I just want to say the music I love. Okay, some people are like, "Oh, why do you use the old music?" But I'm such an old school Survivor fan. Like my favorite thing with the editing is that noise that happens after Jeff Probst snuffs the torch. Like I always love to line that up perfectly. Like I'm so OCD about it. But that's like my favorite parts, I think, and just like little quirky moments having the right music.
Yep.
No, it's perfect. It's perfect.
And Marilyn, I think we have to know, would you ever do it again? Would you ever try again and play another one of these?
I'll definitely sign up to help with the crew, 100%. But to play again, at first I was like, no, and then I watched the sequester, and then I was like, maybe, and then I watched this season again. I'm like, maybe. So I'm not exactly a yes, but like I would have applied for crew for season 5, but this year is so busy. So
Where do you live, Marilyn?
Yeah, George will hit. She's in Queens, right?
Yeah, I'm in Queens.
George is gonna hit you up immediately.
We got season 4 in September. Season 5 is All Stars in May, and then season 6, if I'm still alive, is
No.
No, I just mean it like not retired. Season 6 will be all new people. So,
well, George, is that a scoop? All Stars season 5?
Season 5 will most certainly be All Stars, and that will be in May of 2022.
That's a scoop. Oh my God. And you heard it here first. Groundbreaking news on the Live Reality Games podcast. I weasel it out of him. No, that's really awesome. And obviously, Survivor Brooklyn South, we work hand in hand in beautiful synchronicity together. And I love it. But Marilyn, if you're ever thinking about playing another game, this is only one day. So if you get voted out, you can just take the train home and go to bed and drink your sorrows away like I did. But that's awesome. Marilyn, we'd love to have you on our crew, whether it's this year or one of the many years to come. And thank you, everybody who is in the chat who's commenting along with us. I just want to say that, it's so nice to see your faces every week talking to us. We love you. We love that you're watching. If you are watching on YouTube, my advice is leave a comment on YouTube because that helps us get into other people's algorithms, and then more people will get to see us, especially Survivor fans, and they'll give us a chance and watch us. So please leave a nice comment on the YouTube videos. More importantly, support Live Reality Games, support Survivor New York. There's a link tree that I have in our Instagram bio, but just be a part of this community. We love everybody's beautiful smiling faces so much. Thank you guys for being here. Marilyn, we really appreciate it. George, we really appreciate all your hard work on the season. It's a lot of walking around. It's a lot of being on your feet. And,
what am I, 90 years old?
Kind of.
Oh. Okay, bye.
I remember George complaining so much about his legs.
I'm half dead.
He can press record just fine.
I may need a hip replacement. Seriously, though.
Oh, fantastic. Well, Marilyn, thank you so much. We're so happy to see you again.
Thanks,
I hope you're doing well in this pandemic. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
Thank you for having me.
Bye, guys.